when you file the very first one, I wouldn't have known this, but our guy you're expecting it to get denied on the first round. It's a secret trick. If it doesn't get denied at that first
we
round,
didn't ask for
then
enough.
you didn't ask for enough. You might have left something out there. And it's important to trust the patent attorneys because they know the system and they know how this system works. I do wish I had spent a little less money in the beginning on it. It's so important as an entrepreneur to have patents that line up with your actual monetizable products.
Yes. Now, where you been in your career, and how'd you get started with musical DNA?
It's a funny, long story, but to be brief, I did the 5-university 8-major 13-year program, kicking off with engineering at Michigan and then oil painting, theater, sound design, media, and ended up with a couple of music degrees, piano performance, bachelor's, and then a master's in music from Butler University. And nowhere along the journey did I think, hey, I want to, make money for the sake of making money and go into business. And so I think it's pretty comical that I now am running a software business and I'm trying to figure it all out, But basically, I had a broken hand many years ago while I was trying to recover from that for my first piano recital. I decided to try my very best to map music in order to help my personal understanding of it, and that led to my the first seed that eventually became this patented invention and our dynamic visualization process. So.
Wow, it's cool. You said you broke your hand. Did you mean?
Yeah, I broke it just bike riding, and so I was waiting, recovering, and just trying to maximize my time, and I drew my first map and put 2 and 2 together, and now it's many years later, and many patents. I think we've had 29 approved, believe it or not, national. And just, we only have 10 minutes today, but I would love to talk to you personally at some point. We have very unique patents apparently in the history of the Patent and Trademark Office, which is neat because when ours were approved, there was no formal printing process for colored patents yet. And our guy was like, don't worry. Well, even in applying, for those out there, patents, you apply in black and white. And for a colored application, you have to have a special petition.
Right.
But our guy's like, don't worry. Yours are the poster child of colored applications. And for people who are new in what I do, so this is musical DNA, and we light up music with rainbow colored geometry. It's the first mathematically exact visualization of music and how music really works. And in 2D, music turns into a circle. So this is kind of the equivalent of hitting all of the white and black keys on the piano in an octave. And in 3D, it turns into a helix as you go around the circle.
Wow.
It looks like DNA, hence our name.
Got it.
It was invented for music teaching, revealing the shapes of music. But then to our great surprise, we found ourselves in the world of audio and mapping at great levels of detail, and hence so many patents. So.
Very cool. May walk us through the first patent or the first sort of invention and also a use case example of how you put it in the.
Okay, so our core patent was actually very, very broad, and as JD was alluding to earlier, so at least when I got into all of this, we filed something called a provisional application, which is it stamps the date, and then you have 1 year to finish filing your full. It's called utility application, but you can at least get that date. And it turns out that our core application was so broad and had so many claims that we had to split it up into 3 core patents. And it had to do with lighting up musical sound and then, drawing these geometric relationships. Its first use case, and it was invented for music teaching. And so our core technology is visualizing music with rainbow colored geometry, letting you see the true mathematical nature of music for the first time. But in other words, it simplifies and visualizes the musical language. And when you see music in this way, music is revealed as shapes fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. And it turns out that there are 6 core lines, 2-note shapes called the intervals. So if music were Legos, there would be 6 basic musical Legos that exist, and each one has its own color and length and very identifiable musical sound. And then you start stacking those together, and it turns into the 4 triangles, the triads of music, and then the 9 seventh chords, the trapezoids of music.
Wow.
So our core technology was the core visualizer itself, but our other big breakthrough, at least for music teaching, was our patented breakdown of this sequence of the mathematically most efficient way to communicate the language. So our we've been working on it for a long time. I really hope that the world is about to have some interactions that people can start playing with these tools itself and start creating their own musical DNA sculptures for dynamic songs / sculptures, for lack of a better word, and begin to share them themselves.
So not only being able to express auditorially, but in terms of a three-dimensional, a graphical representation of what a song looks like.
It's funny because I joke around that it's like that the scene in the Matrix. Are you sure you want, like, you have to see it for yourself. It's really hard to describe in words what it is, because
I know, and this is going to be going to a podcast where we're trying to get. So okay,
yeah. If we do it again, I'll have some stuff to light up for sure. But
let's do something really simple though. So I mean, what's like the piano, the middle C.
Mm-hmm.
So if I hit C, help me understand why I would want to know, or why it might be interesting to know what it looks like.
So I visualize. I'm a piano player. I mean, I play a lot of guitar and stuff too, but I learned when I was 5 on the piano. So I mapped musical DNA with middle C at 12 o'clock on the circle. So if you hit one tone and it happened to be a C in 2 dimensions, it will light up at the very top. Okay. And it'll just be a point of white-ish light. We can have a little animation to reflect the timbre, etc. If I hit another note on the piano, so 2 notes are going to light up on that circle, and a particular colored line is going to light up and connect them. So the lines of one step away are red, and they sound very clashy, kind of like and if I do a low register, it's the music from Jaws. Dun,
Yeah.
dun. Those are called half steps in music. If I go 2 steps away, they're called whole steps. It's the beginning of Happy Birthday. Happy birthday, dun, dun, dun. When you hear them together, it clashes, but not so bad. And I can walk you through the others, and we have a book and stuff. But basically, you start building the basic shapes, and it's so use cases. We're building tools to assist in education. The problem is that everyone loves music, but learning music is very, very difficult because for 300 years, everyone's still been using rote memorization. You learn the piece of music and you recite the music, and that is incredibly difficult, especially if it's hundreds and thousands of individual notes. Our technology reveals the underlying structures of music, and with our software, and then with tools like modern analytics, we can track your recognition and successful building of these shapes, and we can really gamify the muscle memory acquisition process to get you through getting these shapes and patterns into your fingers. And then at the very end, I do teach you how to read and write music, but only at the end. And then we teach you how to write these shapes in standard musical notation, and suddenly you can see underneath the forest, and you identify the forest from the individual trees, and you start to see the big blocks of shapes that the composers are thinking about. And it really does completely unlock you. So first use case, education.
Okay.
But man, there's a huge market for child development. Our little triangles, when you get up to the 3-note shapes, there are 4 basic triangles, and they link to basic human emotions. The happy sounding triangle, you can build and learn how to play on your instrument. And there's the sad triangle, the scary triangle, and the dreamy triangle, like a cartoon character getting hit on the head and seeing stars. And so we have a great child development potential market for the next evolution of baby Mozart-ish. We have a gaming that we're hoping to get into, but our version of Guitar Hero is Musical DNA Hero, and it is real.
Cool.
And then we have publishing. Our technology runs on MIDI, but we're filing, like he had alluded to earlier, we have our own continuing ongoing patent trees that we are continuing to protect our future inventions. But we have a proprietary file type to share our stuff. We have live performance, and it's it's big, and I hope, please, please we've been working for a long time, and I hope the world gets to see it really soon. So
That's fantastic. Well, this will hopefully help get it out a little bit. Anything I can
yeah, thanks, brother.
sounds like it'll be helpful. So let's talk about the patents itself, the process. I assume you've got counsel to help you get some of these patents filed, or are you doing this on your own?
No, over the years, we've had a number of different highly powered firms and individual reps from each firm help us. So when it comes down, I've actually navigated the process, I think, enough. When it comes to some of the simpler things, some of the trademarks, I've been able to navigate on my own. But when it finally comes down to the actual patent process, I mean, it's hard to raise that much money, but you have to have an expert do it. And there are just little things like when you file the very first one, I wouldn't have known this, but our guy you're expecting it to get denied on the first round.
Yep.
And it's a secret trick. If it doesn't get denied at that first
you
round,
didn't ask for enough.
You didn't ask for enough.
Right.
Then you might have left something out there. And it's important to trust the patent attorneys because they know the system and they know how this system works. I do wish I had spent a little less money in the beginning on it. It's so important as an entrepreneur to have patents that line up with your actual monetizable products.
Yes.
So there's that part of the story as well. But all in all, it's worth it. They'll work with you, and you have to write out how it's original and an unobvious outgrowth of the old system, and trust your attorneys.
Yeah, and so they're still working for you, right? They're good for 20 years from the date of filing. And so to that end, to a question, have you seen or smelled any potential infringers out there? Anyone trying to...
Interestingly, no. God bless it. I don't know. We'll see. And maybe it's just that my idea was that unique. We do have, it's interesting, and I believe I can share this no problem, but so patents last for 20 years. If you don't have enough money to get your product to market, eventually it's geared towards letting your invention go to market so that civilization can have access to your invention, our civilization. Trademarks, however, last like Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. It'll last, I hope, 70 years past my death, our trademarks. And I just want to share this because you'll find it interesting as a patent attorney yourself. But Nike's swoosh, for example, has nothing to do with their manufacturing process of how they build shoes. With musical DNA and our rainbow circle and our trademark, we're very luckily, our marks reflect our manufacturing process for how we build software. And those marks snap in and link to all of our previous claims, even as our older patents expire and we start filing our new patent trees. So we're a little unique, I think, in having this very strange but kind of cool advantage with our intellectual property.
Yeah, well, certainly. Yeah, just a quick note on that. So trademarks and like design logos. Hold that book up for a bit. You have that.
Yeah, well, this is just a sticker on my back.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on right there. There's at least two major pieces of IP. There's the design. There's actually that design, that work of art. That is that colored.
That is I call that the master key. That's the names, because I also have my book that breaks down the language of music, which I refer to as the master key. But really, that's in 2 dimensions. That is our master symbol of all music in the world fitting in there. This happens to be, like he said, a visual mark.
Right. Yeah, and you can protect
the images, but then you can also have the words themselves can become your word mark, and it's important to overlap those. And
trademarks are wonderful, and they persist as long as the company is.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're still in business. It's the copyrights is what you were talking about, is 70 years after your death. And so any design would continue, if you register at the Copyright Office, those would last your lifetime plus 70 years, which is great. Okay, so let's talk about going to market and so what you're actually selling. Are you selling anything now?
At this exact moment, no, but keep your eyes peeled. I hope, I don't want to say it and jinx it, but I hope in just 2 or 3 weeks from now, we could have our very first live musical DNA visualizer via apps. That you'd be able to touch a digital piano and interact with music in 2D, in 3D, turn on note names, We have a chord and root identifier that goes through our patented breakdown of the language. And then we'd have copyright accessible music, very limited in the beginning, but classical music that you can play back and watch multiple channels on in 2D and in 3D. And this visualizer, eventually I want to have a free level of access to. It's funny because as an entrepreneur as well, and for all of the other entrepreneurs out there, oh my God, you just have to keep pivoting. So I think it's important. I thought you always have to pivot. And here I was, and I thought I was in the world of software product building. And it turns out that I might be in the world of software community building. And it is a different thing. And so I have multiple, they call them minimum viable products, but I greatly want at least a core free interaction that's accessible to the world, that people can begin to see what this is. And then I have my new book that I'm very proud of that explains the language that I was refraining from releasing until we had a visualizer, so people would understand what it was for. And then we'll go from there. But I'm hoping to build something called the Musical DNA Universe that gives access to a lot of our tools and our creation and sharing and play. And that's what we're out here trying to build in Marin County, California.
Love it. Love it.
Anybody, please get a hold of me. We need some help. I need some people,
Now, to the visualizer, is any chance we could get a sneak peek today?
So this is kind of a gentle free play visualizer. Let me turn on a piano here that I can touch. That'll make it a little bit easier to see.
Wow.
So I'm going around the circle. Let me see, 3D. Well, let me I can turn on my chord and my note names. So you're seeing kind of the plumbing, not the finished, sexy, juicy graphics and stuff, but at least you can see that the pieces are there.
Well, you're touching with all the keys, right? So like the one key at a time will just show one chord. Is that right? One actual line.
One key will show one point on the circle.
Oh, just a dot, just a point.
Yeah. Okay. Two notes together will show a colored line. So these are the 6-beta. Sorry, this is funny.
Oh yeah, you're doing great.
Doodle this in real time, but music is shaped in 2D. It's a circle. In 3D, music is a helix.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What makes it go vertical? What brings it?
Every time I go up or down one octave in musical sound, you are going around the circle. Goodness. So in 3D, music is not a circle. It is a helix that looks a lot like a spiraling strand of DNA.
Right. And so point to point is not always, in fact, very, very rarely in 2 dimensions. The point to point is a 3-dimensional connection.
Yep. So octaves are the lines that, bridge the gap.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Look at that.
And so, I'm so excited because you're only seeing note ons and note offs very quickly, but we have it. It's turned on so we can begin to show different animations and different channels for different instrument sounds. And it's so fun when you can start to see like a Cantina band from Star Wars, and all the different tracks lighting up everywhere. And so it's my life's quest getting all of this done. And I really hope that I will have something to share with the world soon. But anyway, so we're hoping to have this free visualizer out, in just a few weeks. It'd be fun to circle back with you if I can pull it off.
Absolutely. So where do we go find it's Apple Store or the
it'll be Apple and Android smart devices to start, and we're working on a couple of our core engines. It's kind of exciting because where I hope it will go is even to one of the core engines for the video game people out there. We're building an Unreal version of this and something called Unity. So Unity gives us access to the browser. Unreal gives us access to the gaming consoles and to AR and VR. And I can't wait till we can turn on our universe with those kind of super high-end ray tracing graphics and stuff.